So that brings us to an even more complicated conversion. So now we have multiple units that we're converting. We have the speed of light 3 meters per second, so we want that in miles per hour. So what we're going to do is break this down into two different conversions. So we can think about going from the distance of meters to the distance of miles, and we can just completely ignore the seconds and hours while we're doing that. So you can see I've written meters per second, or 3 times 10 to the 8th meters per second, written just a little bit differently, just to show that there's 1 second in the denominator on the bottom. So here's our plan. Again, let's just worry about going from meters to miles and ignore the seconds. So again, we can go through intermediate units. So here's my plan, to go from meters to kilometers and then to miles. Because just off the top of my head, I know that there are 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer, and I know that there are 1.6 kilometers in a mile. So I have equalities that I can use to make conversion factors to go from meters to kilometers to miles. So let's do that. So a kilometer is bigger than a meter. It's exactly 1,000 times bigger than a meter because kilo means 1,000. So there must be 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. And I'm using the ratio 1 kilometer over 1,000 meters instead of 1,000 meters over 1 kilometer because meters divided by meters allows us to cancel the unit of meters and go into the unit of kilometers. So now we're working with kilometers. And we don't actually want to work with kilometers, we want to work with miles. So let's go to miles. Let's see, how many kilometers in 1 mile? 1.6, right? So, assuming I'm right about that, that'll cancel out kilometers and give us miles. And that is how to deal with the top unit here. So we've dealt with meters to miles. Now we just have to deal with going from seconds to hours. But that's not too hard, because we know that there's 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in an hour. But the only thing we have to think about here is that the units that we are going into, the units that we want, are going to be on the bottom now. So when I use a conversion factor based on the equality of 60 seconds equals 1 minute, we want to put seconds on top, even though that's the unit we're going from, because it's already on the bottom over here. So when I put 60 seconds on top, that's the only way to cancel seconds divided by seconds down here. And then 60 seconds equals 1 minute, so the minute goes on the bottom. And now we can go from minutes to hours. And we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to continue down here. We want to end up with miles per hour. That means over hours. So it makes sense that the hours go on the bottom. And now we want to cancel minutes. So therefore, minutes is already on the bottom here. It makes sense that it goes on the top here so that we can cancel minutes. Now we just have to put in those actual numbers. So there's 60 minutes in 1 hour. And let's see, what units are we left? We should be only left with miles on the top and hours on the bottom. I think we are. So that's exciting. We have the units we want. Now we know we just have to do all this math to get our answer. So 3 times 10 to the 8th, we don't have to do anything with ones. Dividing by 1 isn't going to change anything. Multiplying by 1 isn't going to change anything. We do need to plug divided by 1,000 into our calculator, and then we can divide that by 1.6, multiply by 60, multiply by 60 again, and we should have our answer. And that gives us 6.75 times 10 to the 8th miles per hour, which is 675 million miles per hour. So yes, light does travel fast. And I'd like to point out something that we're not doing with this method. So something we don't have to do is use the calculator until we're absolutely ready to get our final answer. So you don't have to figure out, at this point, exactly how many miles per second light is going at. You don't have to plug this part into your calculator, because that would just be another possible source of error. You can just do all the conversion steps, write them out until you get the units that you want your answer to be in, and then you can do all the math.
Made with Doodlecast Pro.